When Obama was president, he wanted his Hope and Change for America. I believe he was hoping to change us into a socialist state and eventually a Muslim state, since he was a Muslim disguised as a Christian and brought in 900,000 Muslims. This is what brought us the likes of Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib. Obama said it wasn't right we were number one in the world and that we should be equal to everyone else. He then proceeded to deplete our military to pre-World War II status, further enhancing this idea of making us a socialist state and a one-world government were globalists like the evil billionaire George Soros and his fellow globalists like Hillary and Bill Gates, all taking part in what would become the NWO, or New World Order. Young millennials mostly favor socialism and are misguided by the attraction of everything being free. Free education, free housing, free Medicare for everyone, free hospitalization, free everything, and they fall for it. And the latest young hero for them, of course, is AOC, who flashes around socialist rhetoric like it's going out of style, but it's not too bright. Some have called her the face of the new Democratic Party. The Democrat Socialists of America have an estimated 10,000 new members. A growth that organized attribute in part to the coronavirus pandemic. Members in DSA chapters around the country has surged in the past 8 weeks. An estimated 10,000 people have joined since March, bringing the group's total membership to roughly 66,000, according to internal figures. Enrollment fluctuates month to month, but the DSA hasn't seen numbers like this since the election of Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in 2018. A spokesman said, people are really starting to just look around and say, man, capitalism isn't working. This was the co-chair of the Detroit DSA chapter. He said, if the markets can't even produce a hand sanitizer or toilet paper or mask during a plague, what good is the system? First, millennials don't seem to know what socialism is and how it's different from other styles of government. The definition of socialism is government ownership of the means of production. In other words, true socialism requires that government run the businesses. However, a CBS New York Times survey found that only 16% of millennials could accurately define socialism, while 30% of Americans over 30 could. Incidentally, 56% of Tea Partiers actually defined it. In fact, the most concerned about socialism are the best able to explain it. While millennials' support for socialism may reflect their youth, there's a reason to believe that our increasingly gutted civic and economic instruction has failed to prepare them to see the potential pitfalls of socialistic policies. A major lesson of the 20th century has been that government economic planning not only does not work, it hurts people. Socialism is about as un-American as a political philosophy can get.
Quick point of privilege. Quick point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Guys, first of all, James Jackson, Sacramento, he, him. I just want to say, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum? I'm one of the people who's very, very prone to sensory overload. There's a lot of whispering and chatter going on. It's making it very difficult for me to focus. Please, can we just, I know we're all fresh and ready to go, but can we please just keep the chatter to a minimum? It's affecting my ability to focus. Thank you.
Thank you, comrade. Okay, is there a speaker against name, chapter, pronoun?
Point of personal privilege.
Yes.
Please do not use gendered language to address everyone.
Okay.
Quick point of privilege once again. Hi, James Jackson, Sacramento DSA, he, him. I have already asked people to be mindful of the chatter of their comrades who are sensitive to sensory overload, and that goes double for the heckling and the hissing. It is also triggering to my anxiety. Like, the be comradely isn't just for, like, let's keep things civil or whatever. It's so that people aren't going to get triggered and so that it doesn't affect their performance as a delegate, okay? Your need to express yourself is important, but your need to express yourself should not trump or
I see that no one's clapping for me. It could be because I'm not engaging, but it also is because everyone's doing this. And that's really important because those loud bursts of noise, even though this is a noisy space, when we can do something like reducing that, that's really important. So please don't clap, shoot up these. We have a lot of disabled comrades, and a lot of those are invisible disabilities. You don't know who it is that is having a more difficult time navigating this space, and this space was not created with all of their needs in mind. So it's up to us to modify that space to make sure that everybody is able to move in the ways that they need to move. And additionally, with the noise issue, like avoid hissing, avoid waving banners, right? Because there's all sorts of things. If you don't know what to do, show up these, right? I'm sure there's lots of ways that we can communicate to each other without needing to rely on something that's going to hurt somebody else. We have quiet rooms that are available. There's a range of options of these, right? Please don't go in that space with anything that's like an aggressive scent, for instance, right? Because we don't want to put people in stressful situations that they don't consent to, right? And there are right-wing infiltrators who are trying to get in here, but it's going to be really traumatic for people if we're not making an affirmative effort to de-escalate each other and de-escalate ourselves, right? Take a deep breath. And feel better before you say anything. Don't really talk to anybody who doesn't have a credential, especially if they claim to be from the press. You have no idea who that person is. Please do not talk to anybody who identifies themselves as a member of the press without having credentials. Don't talk to cops. Don't talk to MAGA assholes. We're almost there. But thank you. We are going to be visited tomorrow by some MAGA protesters. Is there anybody here who's done abortion clinic escort work? By all means, don't talk to cops if there are cops there for any reason at all, right? And if you do see someone talking to cops, let the marshals know. We are safe and we are strong because there's power in collective work.
A system that puts the government in control instead of the people abolishes economic freedom and replaces God with the state is wrong, especially for a free Christian country. America was founded on freedom and the right that every individual to pursue their own dreams. Socialism, by contrast, makes everyone into a slave of the state. Socialist philosophy is atheist and anti-family at its core. According to socialist philosophers, basic social structures like the church and the family are oppressive and need to be abolished. Radical leftists want to destroy our country. For some reason, the only way they think they can improve upon our current system is to burn it all down and start from scratch. But that's not improvement, that's just destruction. And when you have the most solid foundation of any country ever created, you can't risk destroying what was built. At most, you remodel from time to time to make sure everything's up to date. But destroying the very foundation just makes the whole thing collapse. And anyone really with half a brain could see that. They want to destroy our country because they simply hate it. The Democrats can't stand our country. They want to change it into some European-esque bastion of liberalism that they believe will usher in some type of utopia. And now with this virus, the Dems have made it into a political ideology, having people stay in their homes and practicing social distancing, wearing protective masks is all government control, with the government watching over us and keeping track of where each person lives and goes. Wearing masks is turning us into faceless minions of the state. So if one chooses to live the life of a shut-in and afraid of being exposed to viruses and possibly dying, then they're already dead. One of the most frightening things about the bailouts is that some people find that they are receiving more money for not working than they did when they were working. Long before the crisis, we have seen the rise of the popularity of socialism among the young in America. A Gallup poll about a year ago found that 4 in 10 Americans embrace some form of socialism. Yipes. In short, if we are not careful, this crisis can end up greasing the skids towards socialism, or are we there already? President Trump wants to see us inch back to work and to recovery, but many Americans want to see us embrace socialism. Long before the coronavirus crisis, New York Socialist Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was arguing that the super wealthy should be taxed up to 70% of their income in order to fund the socialist Green New Deal. All of the young Americans who claim to embrace socialism, and they're simply thinking of socialism as just being share and share alike, but that's not what it is. In socialism, the state becomes a god. In an anti-state, you get the people more and more dependent upon the government for their very living. And that's what makes this present meltdown of the economy so frightening. There may be many on the marginal side of daily life who are content upon relying upon the government, even as a way of life beyond the crisis. Some people have said that the Bible teaches socialism, and they're wrong. They're simply wrong, and they're very simplistic. The Bible tells us a great deal about the nature of man, which is pretty basic. And the heart of a man, according to Jeremiah, is deceitful, desperately wicked. Who can know it? Socialism is against human nature. The moment you tell people that the community will take care of you, they work less. It undermines character. If you own a cell phone and take it with you, you're tracked. If you make any financial transactions electronically, credit card, ATM, etc., you're tracked. If you travel on commercial transportation, you are tracked. If you cross international borders, you are tracked. If you buy a foreign car, Toyota, Nissan, Honda, Mercedes, BMW, etc., foreign governments get your personal data unless you pay cash for it. None of you have any privacy. The government can drill down quickly and find out everything about you. Every email you post and send, every cell phone call you make, every text message you send is all recorded in the NSA building in Utah. The government knows who you are and where you are at all times. And a few years from now, they'll come up with another, better way to track you. And once that infrastructure has been put in place, we have lost all of our freedom, and we've lost our country. But my friends, Americans should stand up and oppose this radical idea. And never again will we be told we can't assemble for church or to protest. And never again will we be told we can't walk on the beach or jog in a park. And never again will we agree to hide away in our homes, waiting for an illness to strike, or not. Folks, we are Americans. We are exceptional. True Americans don't hide from danger. We attack it. We are a nation of risk takers and first responders. We don't run, hide, shelter. We don't willingly give up our jobs, our careers, or our rights. We fight back. True Americans don't accept the choice of poverty or life. In America, we find a way to protect the weak and still keep the economy, opportunity, mobility, and prosperity alive. And never again will we make this mistake. It's not the government's job to protect our health. The government's job is to protect our nation and the rights of all Americans. And if the government fails, we should be prepared to do so alone. There's no difference between communism and socialism, except in the means of achieving the same ultimate end. Communism proposes to enslave men by force, and socialism by vote. It's merely the difference between murder and suicide. Ronald Reagan. Socialism only works in two places: heaven where it's not needed and hell where they already have it. Ladies and gentlemen, a socialist is someone who wants everything you have except your job. And that's my message for today. Thank you for listening. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, God bless you and your families. Thank you.